People, I think,
Can you hear me now? I was trying the whole time. But not because it's coming through the laptop.
so it's not coming through the microphone system?
That's good. That works. Okay. Thank you. Yep. Yes, I am here. Are you coming? Okay. You can hear that. We're just doing Is it through the laptop?
System at all? It's muted. I can hear everybody else as well as you. You're not at all.
No, it's okay. No, what we did last time.
Right, so,
Alright.
wait, how about that little connection? Can you pop it in here and pop it over here somewhere or something somehow? That little connector? Maybe that's what made it work. Yeah, maybe that's what made it work. I don't know where you pop it in.
Hi, Jamie. Okay, there you go. I've been trying to get you.
Thank you. I don't know why. Hi, how are you today, Paul? Good. All right, so what if we changed and did the connector in here and the connector here?
Let's do it.
All right. It's in your bag.
Or maybe I'll let him give it.
There you go. Try that and see if that works.
Oh, yeah. Well, and what the every, I call it 60.
Well, that's what I have to do all the time.
I can't hear you at all.
Their extension.
Okay.
Their extensions and my
Into this.
that's.
I can hear that speaker going into that room, but I cannot hear you.
Speaker on, I can't hear. Okay, I wasn't sure if that was.
I can hear you talking now.
Let me try it out.
Yeah, I mean, I can't hear it.
Now I can hear you.
But I'm taking your back.
Yeah. I see what my.
S 1, 2.
I feel so.
Fast for 8 to 11, right?
Yeah.
Right, well, the first time you're on it, let's say 9 to 13, and I look like a.
Coming through.
The next day I was back in. Went back. The first time I did it, but it was because. Before Nadine's wedding, I had to go back and take all these off. Like, look at
Is this,
Well, oh, 11.
that just gave, that was a feedback. Whatever it was that you had just there.
I turned the volume up. Same thing. It's doing the same exact thing. It as the other, you know.
When you don't have your mouth on the microphone, I can hear you. So it's coming from that.
Yeah, that's a real tech. Okay.
And, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's here, it's staring at everything, everyone, so.
Oh, there.
Yeah, we're just gonna put it up to the speaker. I wasn't picking up any of the speakers. Like, can you hear that? Go ahead. And that's what they need to hear. If we can put that closer to the speaker as possible, then that's the best thing.
You know, which leads me to think, honestly, were we ever really getting it through microphones?
No.
I don't think so.
No, we never, I don't, we never have.
I don't think they even raised.
No, I use real time, so like, I'm using the computer half the time. Because the computer would pick up the speaker too, but if it's not picking it up right now, I don't know.
You can hear it if you're right here. I don't think people would like to never actually got
Yeah. Because I ran through this.
It's in there.
The reality is like the system only works cooperate with the speaker.
Right.
So when you add in with Zoom, you're literally adding in like 20 new layers. I don't know. I've always thought Ray was to be honest. But, you know, when you have the microphone to make up.
You're also not seeing the top.
Hello? Is that better? We can hear that.
So, roaming, trying to figure out where I should sit.
Zoom, can you hear me? Right.
On each side.
Right, they could go bash it on, all that stuff around.
You know,
It's almost like I wouldn't have to test the top one. So like I would literally just set up my phone I wouldn't worry about it. The phone would pick up everything. I like to pick up all the background. I mean, that's what Joe does every single meeting. Because, no, yeah, he just sets up his phone like this regular, and that's when he posts.
You know that. Is it or it happens live?
That's what we need to do.
Broadcast it live on everybody. So that they can get
You
it.
need to get access to the Facebook account and just sign in and have whoever's here just go Facebook Live. And just do that instead. Yeah, I think we just need to start doing that. I mean, I'll talk to Joe, but Joe's even going to talk to me. So it would be so much easier. Because he went to a Delaware meeting.
They did it.
Well, they have this for Facebook Live. It's like,
You know what? I looked it up. Because you didn't need an account to do it.
I think it would be better to do it on the Rotary account, to be honest, just because, like, it would let everybody who follows the account know, like, hey, there's a meeting going on. And then, you know, people will join in. I think people who can watch it all.
If they posted to YouTube, that way they can look what they do. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, it would make
Like,
no, it's fine. It's just, you know, it usually works. I don't know. I don't really know what's happening. I used it. I don't know.
Okay. So I'm standing here and I'm talking to you. Can you hear me? So if we put it over here on this side, it should pick it up. Don't you see? Yeah, this one doesn't have That one does not have a microphone.
Don't set it up fully yet. We'll just test it. It can hear me. It sounds like it. Can you hear me? Test it.
And I said, code, save, and it was save. And so then you put it on and John Duncan said, I never took it out. Save it.
Hey, Chris.
And then
All right, I'll come over. Oh, you're second class?
Well,
This thing is on, everything's on, everything's lit up.
I don't know what's going on. Phones, controller. Testing 1, 2, 3. Test. Testing. Test. Hello, hello. Can't hear anything now. I don't know if I can't hear anything. Can you even hear anything? Right now? Can you hear me now? That's it. But can you hear it? It goes green. Testing. Can you hear me in Zoom? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me in Zoom.
No, when I.
They can't hear us on Zoom. They can't hear us on Zoom. Yeah, so. You can hear me now, but you can't hear me from the speaker. So that's the problem right now.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Coronado. Rotary. It's a bright, sunny spring day in the local area, and we are going to kick off with invocation and pledge by Mr. Brent Bennett.
I know.
I ran out of pause.
Doesn't say so.
Thank you, President Bob, fellow Rotarians and guests. Please join me in a moment of reflection and gratitude. Our collective blessings are manifold and our opportunities are endless as we try each in our own way to contribute to the greater good of our intricately interconnected global community. We are doubly blessed by our membership in and our commitment to the worldwide Rotary family. Through our personal efforts and those of over 1 million caring Rotary members on our team, we have the power to change lives, helping to make life better for countless fellow travelers on our tiny blue spaceship. Let each of us recommit to the values that make Rotary strong and enduring, and strive each day to reflect the challenges that are captured so eloquently in our four-way test. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. Thank you, sir. Behind the curtain. Okay, we are going to welcome our visiting Rotarians and guest past president Dan Lord.
Well, no visiting Rotarians found us today, I don't think. You guys visiting Rotarians? No. So in that case, we'll go to guests of Rotarians. My left, your right. Ah. Yeah, Virginia.
President Bob, thank you. My guest today is Tracy Owens. She is the programs manager from STEP, and she also happens to be the president of the Navy League in San Diego.
Wow.
Who lives in that sea? President Bob, fellow Rotarian.
Past President Dan. Two guests today. One is our guest speaker, Mr. Tony Terravina. Give an introduction of him in a little bit. And also his running mate, Captain retired U.S. Navy, Dave Schnell. That it is, except for Tom Mitchell. I guess visiting Rotarian would be Dr. Pedrati.
An hour?
John, John, don't go anywhere. You come back, come back.
Oh.
No, no, we don't need.
I'm gonna go front. Okay, I'm here, not in the OR today, and I'm here to let you know that we're gonna have the 75th anniversary parade this year. This is a big deal. Coronado is gonna be pulling out all the stops. I understand it's gonna be some flyovers, hopefully by some fixed wing F-18s. And maybe we'll even get our president in one of those, so who knows? Anyway, it's gonna be this year, and I'm looking for another fellow or gal to work with me as a co-chairman. If you would like to do that, please give me a holler, and I can teach you all the ways of what we do here. It's kind of a mysterious thing how we pull it all together. And we're going to be having a meeting in May for more serious planning about it. We have most of the stuff that we need for the parade from past years. As you know, we've won 9 times in a row, and we're going for number 10 here. So, and Fred Eckert's going to be my main foreman out there and helping us build it, put it all together. All the people that were in last year, we hope you could come back again this year and help us out. So stay tuned for a time for the parade. I'll be back in town after 7 May, and we'll have it during that time frame on May, and then June to kind of finalize. I think we can do it in 2 meetings this year. And we're going to have our Paul Corriere is going to drive for us this year, and with the Paul Little's truck like we had last time. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for visiting Rotarians and guests.
Mitchell.
Tom Mitchell.
No, no. Okay, sure, sure.
Okay.
Whoa, I almost got the T though. You know what? I have the most gorgeous woman in my life right here, Susan Mitchell.
Before you are done.
Thank you.
That's the best kind of guest, Tom. All right, we also have, I am going to announce the Red Badgers this week because I've got the list and I've got the time. Michelle Ebert. Where's Michelle? There she is. All right. And David Gardner, I already saw come in here. There's David. You probably saw him coming in the door. And Savannah Granger. There's Savannah. Kevin Kinney. Hey, Kevin, welcome. And Chris Sherhorn, who's getting real close to not being one anymore. Where's Chris? Oh, okay. And Marty Tribe, I did see coming in also. Okay, let's take a look at announcements. Drum roll. And here we go. Exciting day tomorrow. We're going to have our monthly social at Carol McClellan's, and the address is 928 Margarita, 5:30 to 7:30. What are you going to bring?
Bob, it's 7.
It's what?
7.
7 to 8. Now, who lives at 9 to 8? Because they're gonna have an exciting meeting. Well, if you don't know the answer to that, I'll probably find out later. Okay. All right, there'll be a test at the end of this. The address is 7 to 8, not what it says up there. 7 to 8. Okay. But the time is still 5:30 to 7:30. And what are you bringing? Mac and cheese and a reusable glass and something to share and drink. Yes? Okay, be there, be square. And especially if you're a Red Badger, that's a real opportunity to check a box and meet some people and circulate a little bit. It's a lot of fun. We are going to clean the beach on the second Saturday of the month, which happens to be April 13th this month. 7:45 on the corner of Isabel and Ocean Avenue. We're going to have a special flags on the avenue on Thursday, the 18th. And this is in association with the SEAL Team 3 Memorial for the two service members who were lost in the Red Sea here a couple months ago. So we will be putting up the flags at 7 and taking them down at 6 because we've had a time change. And look for that. And our annual Rotarians at Work will start at 8 o'clock. We have 3 different venues for that, and you should sign up for one of those 3. Okay, next slide. We're still having the spring. There we go. We're still having the spring apparel sale. So if your closet has a couple of coat hangers, please stop by and see what Sue Ryan and the team have to offer. They got some great stuff there. I'm wearing mine. Next slide. Okay, Father Joe's. We've been touting this one. I haven't had an update on this, so do talk to Bob or Mary Griffin. They had a couple of slots still available, and I'm not sure where we are on that, but if you're interested in doing this, it's an early morning wake up, but really a great thing to participate in. On Wednesday, they will have a carpool. Okay, a couple of shots around town from last week. Next. Sue Ryan and Doug St. Dennis are here with their shopping carts at the food pantry, and wow, look at all that food that they picked up for those less fortunate than we are. Well done, ladies. Thank you so much. Okay, and then I think the last slide, there's just a recap of the alternate meeting, and I solicited some inputs for photos of this rewarding event, and the only thing I got was a picture of the screen while Paul Ledline was talking about what it's like there at night. And if you look real close, a little more light, you'll be able to see the polar barrel with there's no polar bears here. Anyway, I was not there for that. I was out of town, but from what I understand, it was a spectacular, not to be missed event. And Paul always has a riveting presentation on the seventh continent. Okay, I think we are now up to. We've got. This is a great schedule today because we're going to make a couple of blue badgers today. We're going to start with Evelyn Monica. And while you're coming up, I know you're going to correct me on the pronunciation of your name. Is it Evelyn?
It's Evelyn.
Evelyn?
My parents were European descent.
Okay, but it is Markel.
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 Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Okay, because I think I goofed that up one time previously. I'm really happy that I got it all right this time. I should have got my mouth shut.
All right. It's fine.
All right.
Here we go.
And then, okay. At any rate, all right, I wanted to do something healthcare related because that's what I love. Closer. Oh, okay. Yeah, now, okay. So I wanted to know about Rotary and how it's providing clean water to provide essential basic health needs. And I thought of that because when I went to Haiti on my mission trip, lots of the treatment was from people that didn't have proper sanitation and they didn't have clean water. And one lady stuck with me for the rest of my life. She said she was so thirsty, she drank out of the stream. And of course, she was very sick. So we took care of her. Anyway, I wanted to know what Rotary does, and they do a lot. Through water, sanitation, and hygiene, it's called WASH programs. Rotary's People of Action mobilize resources, form partnerships, and invest in infrastructure and training that yield long-term change. The Rotary Foundation is changing the world by providing grants for projects and activities around the globe. WASH Global Grant Projects since 2013 The Rotary Foundation has invested in more than $130 million in over 2,000 projects worldwide. I love that. Through this investment, our Volunteers of Action have improved access to safely managed and basic wash services to communities, schools, healthcare facilities, while protecting and conserving water resources. Rotary partnered up with USAID Wash Partnership. Rotary and the United States Agency for International Development, that is what USAID stands for, assist communities and government to plan, finance, and deliver safe water, sanitation, and hygiene services while sustainably managing water resources, because nowadays it has to be sustainable. Wash in Schools Target Challenge. I'm sorry, I don't like to public speak.
You're
so-
doing great.
Rotary challenges our members to develop sustainable projects, I just said that comprehensively address the most pressing water, sanitation, hygiene, and education needs. Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, India, and Kenya, and a couple of examples. 123 schools in Ghana have gained access to basic sanitation and hygiene services due to the Rotary USA partnership. Of $148 million, a lot of money, the Rotary Foundation has invested in water, sanitation, hygiene, and water resource management interventions globally. I'm going to end it by saying clean water, and I think we all know this, but specifically, clean water is a necessity for health. And through Rotary, significant work has been done to improve the lives of numerous people throughout the entire world. That made me very proud to be a Rotarian, I must say, very proud.
Thank you. First of all, I don't know why you have a fear of public speaking. You're fantastic. Hey, Frank Spencer has just arrived. Easy for you to say, Frank. And guess what? We have a brand new blue badger. Awesome. Okay, so and now we're gonna have a Who Am I, and David Gardner is gonna do this here. By the way, those of you that are coming to speak, ordinarily the mic would be in this gizmo, but it doesn't want to stay there today, so.
Thank you, President Bob, fellow Rotarians. I'm David Gardner, and this is my Who Am I? This picture, I've spent the past 10 years doing a lot of work in Israel. And for those of you who have not been to Israel, that's what an Uber looks like in Israel. Go ahead to the next page, please. So we have, I've lived in Colorado Springs, Colorado for the past 36 years, married to my wife, Janine, for 35 of those. We have two awesome daughters, Laurel and Kelly, and we have one incredibly spoiled dog, rescue dog named Jack. Moved to Coronado. We've owned a house in Coronado for about 15 years. We actually moved here about 18 months ago and occupy it now instead of just fixing it every time I come out here. And my background is I've built 7 or 8 imaging, high-performance imaging companies related to either Department of Defense imaging or medical imaging over the past 35 years. Next slide. So these are, I'm not going to go into these in excruciating detail, but we've been on Rotary Wing, which that picture is a Apache, multiple UAVs, almost any of the fixed wing UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles or drones. Directed energy, that picture is really pretty, but it's also Hollywood because the laser that they use for directed energy is not something your eyes can see. So that's just a mock-up, but we've been involved in a lot of directed energy activity. Combat vehicles, including Abrams, the next generation combat vehicle, and dismounted soldier, which typically our involvement has been with snipers and forward operators, so they're a little more demanding, both in terms of performance and the fact that they don't like batteries that weigh more than like a ounce. Next page. The other side of my life was we did a lot of medical. We did mammography, cytology. The picture is, we did a lot of work with Hoffman and Roche, and they do automated pap smear analysis, which is a fancy way of saying cytology. We made X-ray imaging systems for large aquariums like the Atlanta Aquarium and also SeaWorld, places like that. And also if you have ever gone to a Banfield clinic, PetSmart has Banfield in them. We developed all the X-ray systems that are used in there. So if you have a rat, which is what's on the upper right, or a shark, which is on the lower part of the screen, then we can take care of any problems you might have. At the bottom right is fluorescence cancer detection. That's where they inject certain types of dyes into your body, and those dyes will attach to cells which are cancerous, and they glows of a certain color, and we pick those out. They're very low light level images that we can pick up. Next slide. Currently, I'm not working with any of those companies that I had 8 companies. I think I sold all of them. In 2005, we started a foundation called the Salvador Foundation, which is a Christian charitable foundation. We endowed it with the proceeds of the sale of one of the companies, so we are self-funding. Basically, we're living off the interest of the endowment on that program. Next slide. This is a list of some of the things that we fund. In Latin America, we've done the usual things: schools, churches, housing, vocational training. We build micro businesses. We do water supplies. In the United States, in general, we do special needs schools, camps for children, educational support. And then local, we do this program called Support the Enlisted, which you'll probably hear about a little bit more in a minute. We fund a table at the military ball at the Hotel del Coronado, and each year we do 4 hours of skating at the ice skating rink at the Hotel Del for military families. So it's free. Anybody who has a military ID or their family can skate for free. And then this is a picture of my family, my awesome family. This is actually not staged. We actually get up about 4 o'clock every afternoon. We all dress in that. So the final picture. Next slide is Jack. Jack is giving the side eye because he was fed like late that day. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And now we have the esteemed Arlene Inch. You see, and we're going to have a double header from Arlene. She's going to give us a Rotary Minute and a Who Am I? And at the end of that, she will no longer be Arlene.
Finally, he doesn't have to introduce me anymore. I've read that. Thank you, President Bob, and fellow. Right close. Just hold it close. It's there. Oh. Anyway, my 1 minute is going to be about the International Ski Fellowship of Rotarians. And I've been, even though I gave up skiing a long time ago, I enjoy it so much because I go and enjoy the scenery, enjoy our friends, and we get to meet everybody. So, I mean, who go? Only 17 of us went last year, or this past year in February. And we stayed in Bend, Oregon, and they skied Mount Bachelor. So I just wanted to tell everybody it's such a great organization. Each city or ski area does their own fundraising for the Rotarians. And so these are handicapped, adaptive, you know, people who can't, they're in wheelchairs, they don't have a leg, then they ski and they're wonderful. So they raised $28,000 this year from the party that they had. We raised our paddles. We all bid, mostly Coronado. Yeah. We did the best bidding, and so we, I hope you can hear me. So anyway, and it was fun. I suggest all of you try it if you can. Next year, it is going to be in Steamboat Springs. So it should be very interesting. And then, so I'm trying to remember. And so I was going to read this whole thing because I guess there's time. Okay. Well, the most important thing about it is the adaptive program in Oregon they help all these people. Every person with a disability has access to the benefits of outdoor recreation. So all the money goes to help them and scholarships and whatever. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity that we can have and give them, raising money for them. So anyway, I think that's good for that one. Now, I'm gonna do, who am I? So we'll start with where I was born. My father was, I was born in Pensacola, Florida. My father went to the Naval Academy class in 1935. And so my mother's mother, she was one of 6 girls. She would have spaghetti dinners and invite all the Navy pilots over every Sunday. So then all of my aunts married naval officers, pilots. Some went to the Naval Academy, some just went to OCS or whatever. Or if they even had it in those days, I don't know. But anyway, so it was great. So our families followed each other around for the different cities that we were stationed in. So it was fun and we grew up with them. In fact, I just had 2 cousins from Cocoa Beach, Florida. But my mother's sisters, they were Pensacola girls, the Keena family. So if anybody was there, they might know some Keenas. And so, anyway, that was that. And then, we traveled many times to Guam and all that. And then we ended up in Coronado and ended up in high school here. So I went to Coronado High School and lived on Alameda Boulevard. And I was one of 8, which is a big family. And we all went to school and out of school. Then went to college, then married a Navy guy who got out. And so then we moved to the Bay Area, and I haven't been back here in years. Lived up there, was involved, and now with my I acquired a business called Transpac. So I wish I had photos, but anyway, so my company, I've been in it 55 years, and I have to really give credit to my upbringing here in Coronado and San Diego State. So I feel like it's helped me be a survivor. So I went and acquired this business, and we're all over the world now. It's like 12 employees then. Now we have over 3,000, and it's called Transpac. And so we build crates, corrugated, we do foam, we do all this, and for a lot for the semiconductor business. So we are in, about 70 facilities all over the world and over 3,000 employees. Oh my God. So anyway, I do a lot of traveling, so it took me a long time to get out of my red badge thing. But anyway, so here I am, finally. I've got my 2 down now. I love being back here and I love being part of Rotary. It's a wonderful experience and wonderful friends and more to come. So thank you very much.
Congratulations. Ordinarily, we would have your sponsor, Pat, pull your tag, but I'm a guest tag puller, so let's do your red badge thing.
Oh, you did it.
And you can keep it for a single. All right, well, congratulations. Welcome to the Blue Badge crew.
Yay.
Well, we'll still introduce you. I tell you, we'll just introduce you as the newest Blue Badge. Okay, I think we've got Pat Stark, who's going to give us a short report on the amazing golf tournament.
Do I need a microphone?
Yeah, here you go.
First thing I want to tell you is that Dave Gardner, who just gave us Who Am I, Ivan, is a Missouri boy, graduated from Willard High School just north of Springfield. He and I both started the University of Missouri Rollin Engineering School. He finished. But that's not what you wanted to hear about. You want to hear about the golf tournament. It was a great event. We had really good turnout. We had 143 of 144 spots filled. It was a success because of all of you, people who generously opened their wallets. I learned a lot of things, like I learned what the slang term rider means in golf. You know what that means?
No.
A rider in golf is when you actually hit the ball far enough, you have to ride and hit it again. So I learned it. That was a great plan. So we grossed over $110,000. We netted nearly $80,000, all of which we're gonna be able to give away, but all of the things we like to do for our community. Thank all of you for your hard work this year.
Yay.
So I was using two microphones, but, you know, I want to point out just, the numbers he gave, those don't just happen on autopilot. It takes a lot of committee work and a lot of leadership and a lot of close control to make something that big happen successfully. And I think this is the record. I don't think we've ever brought in $80,000 net from this type of event before. So, and it's all because of someone willing to stand up and take a hard job. And we have a lot of hard jobs in this club, and not enough people to really jump in there and take them on. So, Pat, it's my pleasure to make you a superstar. We got one on each lapel. Well done, my friend.
Thank you. They're still not gonna let me in engineering school.
Okay, I am going to turn it over to past president Panel Stewart for the introduction.
Thanks, President. Thank you, President Bob. So, let me get this straight, Pat. So David went to the engineering school and you joined the U.S. Army. Is that right?
I joined the U.S. Army.
Enough said. President Bob, fellow Rotarians, guests, it's my privilege today to introduce our speaker, Mr. Tony Teravainen. Sorry, I had to practice, had more than two syllables. Terry's Tony, excuse me, Teravainen. Okay, I've got it straight.
Start over.
Yeah. Mr. Tony Teravainen. Thank you. Tony's a former Air Force junior and also a former nuclear submarine in the Navy. He co-founded and is CEO of the Support the Enlisted Project, which you heard about. You'll hear a lot more about here shortly. It's a nonprofit founded in 2012, and it seeks to end the food insecurity, homelessness risks, and financial crises for junior military personnel and veteran families. Many of you will recognize that STEP is the beneficiary, has been the beneficiary of our low tide ride and strike. And those are dollars well spent, as you're about to see. STEP's approach, and I hope I'm not stealing any of Tony's thunder here, is unique, and it trains young folks, young military folks, to become financially self-sufficient. In other words, they offer a hand up rather than a hand out, and it's really a proven program, as you'll see. So Tony serves on multiple boards and commissions. He holds an undergraduate degree in business management and nuclear engineering. Matt, maybe you want to talk to him afterwards. A master's degree in executive leadership, and he's completing his PhD in public policy. So please, a warm Rotary welcome to Mr. Tony Teravainen. Yes, note the patriotic socks.
Let's see him.
I think it was after COVID when I started emerging from my house. That was it's like, why don't somebody had some fun socks on? I said I should just start doing that. So yeah, you can get a bunch cheap from China. Get American flag socks. I don't know what they think about when they're making them, but I'd just like to start by saying I saw on the table the San Pasquale Academy, the work that y'all are doing out there. That's fantastic. I live out by the academy. And just to let you know, this is over at noon after lunch, and there's probably 8 wineries there in my neighborhood within 2 miles. So feel free to support my local economy as well. All right, very happy to be here today. Very happy to be supported by your Rotary, and then many of you individually or through your other associations. So thank you very much. My name is Tony Teravainen. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of Support the Enlisted Project. I was on the founding board. And And we needed a CEO, and nobody else would take the job, and I couldn't hire anybody. So I said, I'll do it till it doesn't need me anymore. And the definition of need me anymore kind of changed over the years as we were starting to grow and have larger impact. And I think maybe in 2026, they'll let me leave. I don't know, we'll see. They can never let me leave. But what we do is we work with young military families, transitioning veterans. And when they're in a financial crisis and they have nowhere else to turn, we want them to come to us. We want the community to be able comfortable to refer them to us, and they will come into our program. And what we're going to do is help them through this crisis, but our specific focus is going to be to make this their last focus. And the metrics to actually measure that, we created before we ever created STEPS programs. We knew what we wanted to achieve. This community was saturated with great agencies doing great things with military families. We didn't want to be just another agency that's going to hand out backpacks and diapers and food and turkey dinners. Those things are great. But what was missing was this next step. How are we helping families move past for the long term, having to stand in these lines, having to go through these types of issues? And that's specifically what we created STEP for. We improved the financial wellness of the families that come through us at a 90% success rate. That improved financial wellness reduces food insecurity, it reduces homelessness, it reduces the mental health challenges, it reduces physical health challenges, and it reduces the suicidal ideations that our military families and our veterans suffer at much higher rates than our civilian population. And that is why we created STEP. There were 6 of us on that founding board, and we all really understood what military life was like. I grew up in a military family. My dad was Air Force, so I spent my entire childhood on these giant Air Force bases all over the world. I did only last 1 semester at engineering school, and I found myself in the Navy recruiting office. And I said, let me get this straight. I can be on a submarine. You'll teach me how to run a nuclear reactor. You'll pay me for this and give me a place to sleep before Christmas when I go homeless. And I was on a train to boot camp on Christmas Eve. That was that. So a lot of people ask why the military has trouble with their finances. And my response is really America has trouble with its finances, right? 3 out of 5 Americans spend their entire paycheck or more each month. Less than half of Americans come up with $400 for an unplanned emergency. And 70% of all Americans have less than $1,000 total on assets. That's the pool that they come from, right? And then every year from that group of people, 150 to 200,000 of them join the military. And then what do we do to them? We rip them out of that home environment that would have kept them together and solvent while they grew up in that town. We move them across the country every 2 to 3 years. And there's obviously expenses, $2,000 to $5,000 of unreimbursable expenses. That constant moving puts the spouse in a 50% unemployment or underemployment rate. That locks the families into the low income wage by HUD standards that most of our service members earn. Then we're going to deploy the service member between a half and a third of the time. So if you started with 2 parents, you'll go back and forth between 1 and 2 parent households. And then every day that military service member is going to go to work in America's 3rd most deadly occupation, where over the last 40 years, more service members have died from work-related accidents than any other cause. If that's not enough, then we're going to tie their performance evaluation and their security clearance to their ability to properly manage their finances. We don't think that's a winning deal for them. So this is why we wanted to we understood what military families went through. We wanted to find a way to really help these military families move beyond these chronic financial crises that just like eat at the mind and body and the families, get them past this threat, this constant threat of food insecurity, homelessness, other financial crises, and do it in a way that when we're done with that family, they don't need us anymore. We want to be one and done, and we want them to be able to move forward with their life in a way where they can feel fully responsible for it. I don't have a clicker. Am I supposed to? Sorry. Thank you. So what do we do, right? So all that work is really done through our Emergency Financial Assistance Program. And like I said, we wanted to make this a lasting solution when we created it. So we really started with the end in mind. And we started thinking about why people spend their money in ways that isn't productive for the long term. And this came back to being a behavior. So I went to behavior specialists and I said, you work with people to help them quit kicking their dog and quit smoking and exercise more and do all these other things because us as humans are great at accumulating these chronic self-destructive behaviors. Do you see the way people spend their money as behavior? And the answer was very clearly yes. And it's like, all right, can we create a program that can actually change the way people think about their money, their relationship with their money, the way they spend their money, and the way they manage it through the rest of their life? The answer was yes, and we got to building it. And so what we end up doing is we use social workers as the financial counselors. A social worker will hire them, and they need to be skilled and appreciative of what we call a solution-focused approach, which is one of the common modalities in social work. And in that, it's designed to be short-term. It's not designed to be long-term care. It's designed to have an outcome in the mind, and it's designed to be driven by the client. We bring in some other social work modalities such as crisis theory and the strengths perspective on all these other pieces. And we build this program and we lay it over this change management process, which is designed to help people change behaviors, people and companies, and change behaviors over time. And when somebody calls us, they don't know they're talking to somebody with a master's degree in social work and 15 years in the field. All of our social workers have military experience. They're either veterans, military spouses, or kids themselves. When they come to me, I send them off to be certified financial counselors, and then additional certification for all the other things they manage, specifically now suicidal interventions. We're doing many more of those than we used to do. And what happens is they will go through this process, and the first half of the process is empowerment. Families have really given up hope that they can ever be in control of their finances again. They know they need a budget. They know they need to spend less than they make, but that works for all y'all. For me, I'm just too far gone. This can't work for me anymore. And that's really what they're thinking and believing. And so the entire first half of this intervention, the process that they're going through, which is about 10 to 15 hours of counseling, is going to be talking about empowering them to help them understand they can actually do it again. And we can help them get that there. How do we know that's true? Because of the 8,000 families we put through the program, we helped every one of them, if they were willing to do their part, we helped every one of them be able to create plans to get them to be financially self-sufficient. 90% of them actually live through with that when we measure that a year out. So after they go through this program, they're going to be able to create this plan for themselves. They're going to create financial goals. They'll create their debt reduction plan. And 90% of these families are able to stick with it when we measure out a year after the program. So this is really what we do. It's done through empowerment, counseling, education, and then we can also provide financial assistance. Sometimes somebody's just got to pay the landlord and there's just no money there. Somebody's got to pay that transmission shop. Somebody's got to stop the car from selling at auction. Sometimes they just need to feed their kids. So we can step in and do that. With those 8,000 families, we've supplied about $2.6 million in financial support to restore, retain the basic necessity of the families as they're going through our program. You also see a lot of other things that y'all also interface with in various ways with these secondary support programs that we call them. And this is really, this is what we want to do. We want to do this primary counseling program, but how do we build the relationships where families can trust us enough to come to us to talk about the most intimate issues that they have? Sometimes they're even afraid to talk to their spouses about this stuff. So what we need to do is be everywhere around them. Nobody just wakes up and says, I should call STEP today because I'm really stressing about my finances, right? It's them existing in their moment of stress, and it's just coming out, and somebody around them, somebody they trust, who knows us and trusts us enough, says, you should probably go see those people at STEP. You can give them a call, apply online, drive down there, whatever it's going to take. Because this is how that trust, that referral needs to come across from this trusted source in a way that makes them feel comfortable walking into an office or talking to somebody on the phone who they just don't know, but they are in their head, they're convinced this person can help them. So in order to build that relationship around town and meet all these military families, we do a lot of these secondary support programs. So this is what Tracy Owens does for us. She runs all these for us in Southern California, in the 8 counties of Southern California, lower 8 counties, and also in Washington State. So back to school programs, Thanksgiving programs, Christmas programs, Easter programs, food programs, diaper distribution programs, donated goods, all these types of things where we can go out and meet these military families, build our reputation. That helps us meet the clients. And it also helps us meet a lot of donors. We are community funded. We don't take money from the government. We didn't want to be an extension of the government. What we wanted to be was an extension of an empowered and dedicated community such as yourselves. And that's really what we aspire to do. And this is a way we can get out and meet potential folks that want to continue to support us. Make sure I don't go over. Only time for questions. Next slide. Yeah. So these were our metrics. This is what we have done. We started our first 3 years. We're trying to figure out if this was something that the community cared about, and we had to demonstrate to ourselves that we needed to be an agency that the families would come to and wanted. We needed to be supported by the local military leadership, and then we also need to be supported by the community. And that was our first goal after 3 years. And it was the yes, yes, and yes. So then it was, all right, well, let's continue to work and see if we can actually build a strong business, a viable business model around this program that we've developed. And we did that after about 6 years. And around the 7-year point, we were starting to get a lot of calls from outside of Southern California. And we looked for ways to start expanding beyond that. And that has really continued. So to this point, we have been 100% successful at retaining the basic necessities of all these families that come to us. This is our day job. This is what we do. If somebody calls us up and says, I don't have food for my kids tonight, if somebody comes in our office and said, I'm losing the house in 2 hours, this is our day job. This is what we do. We get them back in the house, we save the house, we get them back in the car, we feed their kids, we get electricity back on, and then we work with them so that they can manage to do that for themselves through the future. 90% of the families that go through the program, when measured a year after, are still working towards their financial goal and still working to improve their financial wellness scores. This 97% number is pretty interesting, and we never really thought, we thought 90% was a crazy successful number that most people never can believe. 97%, I said we gave out $2.6 million to these families. Only 3% of the people have ever come back needing additional funding, right? So we don't want to just keep handing out money. What we want to do is hand it out with great value, where the folks that take this money understand that this is something to help them along. And this is really what happens with such a low return rate. The eviction number, it's actually interesting. A lot of those here in San Diego, the vast majority. And we're probably we're the most effective homelessness prevention, homelessness risk agency in San Diego. And we actually stop more evictions than a lot of agencies that are specifically dedicated to that. Next slide, please. I'll just say on the testimonials, you know you're doing the right thing when people send you a picture of their child's baptism. And on the back of it, they write, we just want to thank you for your services, for helping us in our moment of need. As we're building our family, we feel like we can actually do this now. We have the hope, and you gave it to us. And this is the kind of feedback that we get from these families. And it's unsolicited. We don't want to parade them around town. We just want to help them and get them on their way. But a lot of times they'll give us this kind of feedback that we were the ones that took the time to hear their story, that we were the ones that took their time to help them build a plan to create the future they wanted to achieve. And they're thankful for it. And that is what we want to do. That's what we want to be known for. Next slide, please. So I talked about us being community funded, and really community engagement is a critical piece for supporting the Enlisted Project. We just want to be that conduit between a community that wants to support its military and those military family members themselves. And the community has supported us, the community of Coronado, of San Diego, of Coronado, and like I said earlier, this Rotary group in all its various ways have been extremely supportive of getting us off the ground and going. David Gardner You here still? There you are. Yeah, we were talking earlier. They actually started funding us in about 2017, I think it was. And they asked what our big holdup was. What's your big challenge of the day? And I wasn't getting good penetration in Camp Pendleton. Those folks like to take care of themselves and they don't like outsiders coming in, which makes sense. So what I need to do is figure out how to plant an insider on the base so that we could become one of them. And with their support, we were able to hire a social worker who was a military spouse. And I think she had like a 9 and an 11-year-old boy. And her husband was a EOD gunny sergeant. And she was a stereotypical Marine spouse. She lived on base. Her kids went to school on base. And she was a social worker. So we hired her. We gave her a step minivan. And she said, what do you want me to do? And I said, you're the closet salesman, the installer, and you do the warranty work. Just start building relationships on this giant base. And I went to meet her one day. The county has a veteran resource center in Oceanside, which is kind of her office. And I met her there once. I was putting some stuff, gonna put some stuff in her car, and I asked, she said, I brought my personal car today. And I said, well, why didn't you bring the step van? She said, well, I have to pick up my kids from school, and I didn't want to use the company car. I'm like, woman, if there's one place I want that giant billboard of a step car that's in the pickup line at your kid's school. That's what we've been doing up there. We're actually on our 3rd social worker up there. They've been rotating through. And we have been able to double the number of families that we serve up there on Camp Pendleton because of that presence and because of their support. So, you know, I have stories from all of our various supporters, and that's really what's made it work. Is there one more slide? No. Okay, go back up one, will you? So I'll just end by saying, I took this job because nobody else would take it. And I was very happy to do it. I convinced my wife. She thought well, she didn't think it was a great idea. But she supported me. She's a good woman. And that definition of when STEP doesn't need me anymore has been really changing over the years. And I talked a little bit about what our first 3 years and our 6 years and this expansion to Washington to demonstrate to the communities that we can provide service 1,000 miles away, that we can integrate into community. Other communities want the service. The demand signal is growing. Last year, we served families from 36 other states additionally. And we can do that not on a guaranteed basis, but kind of on a space available basis. And then my team knows that there's going to be space available. And we work hard to do that. So the demand is really growing for our product. Families are calling us from across the country. Military leadership is very supportive and getting kind of pushy about getting us out in front of more of their sailors, soldiers, Marines, some Air Force. So we're actually on a journey right now. And the board said over the next decade, we should work to serve more families across the country. And that's really what our goal is ultimately to do. We want to do it as a good community partner in every community we come to. We want to do it in a way that upholds this 90% success rate, that upholds this culture and our core value number 1, which is really to do the right thing in every situation. So that's where we're going. And it's going to be a fun ride. And if anybody wants to hear more about what our future looks like, we do have an event here in Coronado, I think on April 23rd, that we could get you the information for, and you could hear more about that. And I think with that, I have a couple minutes for questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Tony. Just to put this on a more the basis that we all understand, you all remember the petty officer who died in the carjacking here in Coronado a number of months ago. You know, 4 children, da-da-da-da. Well, Coronado Rotary started a campaign to raise funds. We raised a lot of money just within the club and a lot more from the community. What do we do with that? We turned to STEP and said, you're the ones that can manage this better than any of us. And that's exactly what they did. So that's a personal account for our club of how we benefit from the services of STEP. And I had a question for you. How does, when you interface with the military, what's the kind of response you get, whether from the command master chiefs, that type of thing, in terms of promoting you to the troops?
Yeah, we have an MOU with the Secretary of Navy It gives us permission to go on actually every Navy and Marine Corps installation in the world. And do educational training and everything under that, which is kind of the highest level of support. We do have to interface with each installation commander and get their permission to be on their base as well. And what their question is to me, I do this, Tracy does a lot of this for me as well. And their question comes back to how can I help? And I said, well, you can help by helping be an advocate for us and helping ingrain us into the local support agencies. I will say that, Fleet and Family, Marine Corps Community Services, that's our #1 referral place. The financial managers in that office send us the most referrals. The second largest agency for referrals is Navy Marine Corps Relief.
Yeah.
They understand. So we work very well in that group of people. The clients that do best coming to us won't do best at these other two places. So we've moved people around to the option that serves them the best. And the Army, God bless them, but 4 years ago when we started talking to them, they didn't really want to hear that their soldiers didn't have what it took for them to succeed. And now I think it's really coming around to it. And they're updating or have just finished updating a new MOU with us that puts us kind of in a leadership position on that base, helping spearhead and get in front of a lot more of their soldiers. So we work with them, and we're kind of a safety net to the other agencies is how we poise ourselves. We never designed this to be the 800-pound gorilla, just support who's needed. And the base leadership understands that, and they help advocate for us.
Tony, your program is unbelievable for many of us who are military. I wish we would have been around when we were active duty, as I would refer to them there, Doc in the Navy. This is a tremendous program for education for all these enlisted guys, but they're in trouble. One of the things I taught as a flight surgeon was prevention. We didn't want people flying to the ground. So the whole concept is to teach people not to get to that position where they need the help. One of the things I can see with your program would be very useful is to get to those junior personnel and get to the commanders and offer their services to teach people before they get to the point where they need your help. Number two, the chaplain corps is also another great resource. I work with the chaplains a lot. On the Kitty Hawk, for instance, I was a senior medical officer. I would say majority of our amgrams were coming through the chaplain that needed help, and it was for any number of issues, but many of them due to financial reasons. So what about you training, offering to give your services to the fleet and Marine Corps in training young people how to handle this, young families and young enlisted guys that are singly, but even the officers for that matter could use this information. So I think what you've developed is this package of education and how to budget and how to manage yourself so you don't get in this situation again. Teach a kid to fish rather than give them a fish concept. That could be useful in that regard. Your concept on that.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for that question. I agree with everything you said. Those are strategies that we're following.
Yeah.
I think we have to remember we focus on E1 through E6, and there's 800,000 of them in our military. It's about 70% of the 1.2 million. The Navy and Marine Corps and the Army are doing more now to teach financial literacy. The Navy actually added a week to boot camp to do self-development type programs. And the Marine Corps is doing more, and the Army, I know the Army is starting to do more. So it's realized that the younger service members and people entering today don't have the tools to succeed. And so they're doing that part. We do have a kind of an offensive class that our social workers do teach, and it's still behavior-based. And we do that on demand as military leadership asks us to do it. And so we can go on the base and do that. And then the chaplains, yes, we have a great relationship with the chaplains. And the first day of COVID, we got a call from a chaplain down at 32nd Street. He said, I got 9 sailors that are stuck on the ship, and they were supposed to pick up, milk and diapers on the way home, and there's nothing home. What can you do? Well, we don't have a program for that, but we figured out how to make it work. So that chaplain knew to call us, and there was a number of other chaplains that are doing crises things at that point. So we worked with them for a number of years. And then the MCI West Chaplain Corps has also been working with Tracy and really got us we're actually doing 3 food distributions a month on Camp Pendleton.
So
Based on their requests.
Do the chaplains all know about you? Have you put it?
As much as we can get out there, right? I mean, you got 30% annual rotation of kind of everybody. So this is why us being out in the community as much as we are, helps that word go, yeah.
Right, doing these talks is great, but
Right.
this is a great Rotary program, for instance, in supporting you,
Yeah.
but beyond that, you gotta get to the people that were the gatekeepers to get people to you.
And that's a full-time job in itself for team, yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you, it's a great program, and I was wondering, how do people support this? I know you have different foundations that support you, but how about the individual? How can we do that?
Well, thanks for asking that question. Team Step USA, teamstepusa.org is our website. And we run everything through there. So if you go to that website, at the top of it, it says apply for services, volunteer, or donate. And that is everything kind of goes through there. So we'll send, if a military family needs you, or somebody needs more information, or somebody wants to do a volunteer group or donate, just send them to our website, teamstepusa.org. And we can facilitate that.
Are you 501c3?
Yes, we are our own 501c3. We have the highest charity, like watchdog ratings on Charity Navigator, GuideStar, and also Better Business Bureau.
Could you use volunteers to help you get the word out?
I'm up today, sir.
Yes, I would say contact. So we did about 11,000 hours of volunteer work every year. And in there, we're also trying to continue to grow kind of a speakers guild. And that is definitely something that's a strategic push for us.
Hey, Tony, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your presentation. One thing I hope all the Rotarians here know is that last year, for the first time, we had STEP as one of our major beneficiaries of the Low Tide Ride and Stride. They will be back as a beneficiary again this year. So if you'd like to support the organization, please sponsor the Low Tide Ride and Stride.
Thank you very much.
Tony, thank you so much for coming to share this with us. And as you can tell, we're a very military focused or affinity group here. Not everybody in this great club has served, but almost every one of them has some connection. And that just comes from the community that we live in. So we all know somebody or know of directly an enlisted person, or we have served with such a person. And we understand what the challenges are that they face, and they do make sacrifices to be our warrior class. So we're so happy that we have people like you that are stepping up to take these types of opportunities to help these kind of people. So on behalf of the Rotary, I'd like to present you our very small token of appreciation. This is our Rotary 4-way test coin, which is a Rotary International tradition. And thank you so much for coming to speak to us today.
Thank you.
Next week, we are going to be over at the Coronado Caves Yacht Club, and we're going to hear from Jen Rogers, who is the Executive Director of the San Diego Master Chorale. Did I say that right? Yeah. Which has something to do with music and singing. So
Good job.
we all, that makes my heart so. All right. So in the meantime, go have a wonderful Rotary week, and remember, service above self.
Okay. Thanks a lot.